All right, guys, welcome back to Project GoodSpeed. Obviously, this is not the little hatchback. In the last video, I got the Civic up and running, and it has been so long since I've been able to enjoy that little thing on the road. The subframe is still damaged, so I'm limiting the time I drive it, but I am still enjoying the drive, really. Just blasting through first and second gear without grinding is just so much easier, It's much more fun to drive, and it's gonna look a whole lot nicer once I install the black interior. Hopefully, in the next couple episodes, I'll be able to install everything back into the little hatchback, and we'll get a few well-needed shots of everything in there. In the meantime, however, the CRV could definitely use some love. While I go ahead and plan out the schedule for the next couple of videos for the Civic, this roof rack definitely needs to be installed. It's all ready to go. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're gonna be installing the roof rack system on this CRV, as well as this cool JDM cargo cover that I managed to find here. I found this at the junkyard last weekend, believe it or not. I was looking for those bolts for the transmission, and I found it right there. And I'm also gonna I took these floor mats because I think these are in better condition than mine, at least the front two, right? Look, I can see the CRV logo, and this one is not torn. This one I just took, and we're gonna replace that as well. But take a look at the dash, man. This is the dash from the junkyard that was like dried out and like old, and look at this. It looks pretty much in pristine condition. Like honestly, there's nothing wrong with this dash now, other than this little dent here. But I mean, my Civic has a dent as well. And as you guys can see here, this is that little spot here that looked totally different. I'm not too worried about it. It came out even shinier than before. My problem was that the other part of the dash wouldn't be as shiny. But look, you guys can almost see my reflection. And I'll show you guys some shots here of when I did to restore it. I basically did the honey leather restorer kit, and I just left it overnight for about 18 hours for the first coat, and then I applied a second coat for about 6 hours, and then that was it. And shiny, good as new. Very, very, very bad idea. Do not break this. Okay, other than those rails, we need the hardware stuff here. This is the stuff that we need, right? I've got the rails here. These are the cross members. These are the trim pieces, and these are the little, I don't want to call these brackets because they're more like seals, kind of. These are the brackets right over here. I was able to find all the pieces here. These are the brackets here that attach to the frame of your car. This is the hardware here. I have restored these. I basically just soaked them for a few hours in vinegar, and they look a lot cleaner now. They were all rusted out. Now they're just regular old black pieces of metal. I'm not actually gonna install them just like that, right? I mean, come on. I obviously have to paint them. I also have to take apart these. These are the braces that go lengthwise, and I'm gonna paint them separately. Scuff them up a little bit and give them a few coats of that OEM, what's it called? The SEM trim black paint, which I'm still not convinced is the original SEM, but it's what I got. I don't even know why I'm installing these, other than the fact that I like the way it looks. I read online that they're only rated to hold up to 75 pounds, which is not a lot, really. Well, it might be enough, I don't know, we'll see. So we'll scuff the metal up a little bit harder than we will the plastic. The plastic should only need a little bit, and then we can get on to installing it. I might have to install this later on, to be honest. Maybe at night. Just depends on how many coats I decide to do and if I fuck up or not. I didn't mark these, but interestingly enough, they are identical. Look, the front and the back pretty much mirror images of each other. Even though the brackets themselves are not, it's because of the shape of the way they mount to the body is different, but not the shape that they mount to the rails. Okay, so that's good to know. And this should just slide out. Okay, that did it. Metal bracket, plastic pieces, should be pretty straightforward. Now this piece is actually the worst one, to be honest. This is the only one that actually made me want to paint, but my OCD would not allow me just to paint this one and not the other. So you guys can see it's really scuffed up here. That's bare metal. Also here, and can't abide that. For the sanding, I basically just used 3 different types. I used 400 grit, for these trim pieces down here, these tiny little ones, they don't have a lot to clean up, so I don't need that low of a grit. And for the metal pieces, I use 180 grit. That one, because they were so scuffed up pretty badly, I had to go down to bare metal for certain pieces, like the really, really bad one right here. See that? This is 180 grit. And for the, I don't know what you call these plastic brackets, spacers, whatever you call them. For these, I actually just use the Brillo pad. The same thing for these. The texture of this is kind of like plastic, so I don't really need to scuff them up and scratch them with sandpaper. And the Brillo pad actually does a really great job of kind of pretty much leaving these ready to go, to be honest. You could probably just get away with using the Brillo pad and just touching this up with like a restorer or something, but they look pretty decent. I'm still gonna paint them anyway, but I'm just gonna go ahead and use the Brillo pads I've got left for the rest of these pieces on the set. Okay, so while the paint is drying on those pieces, I'm gonna go ahead and drill holes on the trim panels here so that I can install the cargo cover correctly. And look, it actually clips right on to the, seat rest here, the headrest. Only problem is I have to figure out how to make sure it's like perfectly fit, because there's slack involved, and also there in the back, right? If I had to recline the seat, that slack also has to be included, and it's gonna be a pain. I'm gonna have to stretch this to make sure I get the holes properly. Check it out. Now let's see if it closes. I actually already drilled the other slot as a practice. Problem is it's got this giant gap here. Oh, I probably should have measured it better. a lot of mistakes went in that one. Kind of referenced the holes that the Junkyard CRV had, not knowing that the guy probably made those himself, and those are not OEM, so they didn't fit that well in my Civic, because I kind of also eyeballed it, but I should have just eyeballed it to begin with, because the initial holes were kind of too short and there was way too much slack. This is not the best cargo cover for this car, really. But now I have 2 extra holes that don't belong anywhere, but no slack. So I got a fucking cargo cover on this little CRV now. This is an 01 CRV, and I think it's an LX. It's definitely not an EX. This install process should be pretty much identical, since these CRVs kind of have the option to install them anyway. It's just that this one kind of blocked it off with the trim. And I'm gonna show you right now, because I'm gonna remove the trim pieces and we'll be able to see what we're working with here. All we need is a screwdriver, and we should be able to pop that off right here in the front, and it should slide out. One thing we also have to do though is make sure that the rear doesn't get caught, because that's one of the things, right? This bottom piece here tends to get caught. Slide it forward a bit. Oh, come on. There we go. Whew. This little notch keeps it from sliding out. You should be able to lift it up. And then remove it. As you guys can clearly see, we have the mounting points right here. See these studs just lifted right out? We'll be able to fasten the roof rack right onto there if we have the proper brackets. And I even spent a few days restoring it. Hopefully these last. Unfortunately though, I ran out. Did not have enough. I always tend to do this. I ran out of paint before I finished the entire process, but I had just enough to make it look decent enough. You guys can see here, the roof rack looks pretty decent. It has a nice coat on the front and everything. Unfortunately though, kind of ran out before I could do the rear, the bottom part with a second coat. I don't know if you guys can see. You guys can still see it's kind of gray there by the bolt right here. It's gray, black up there, black down here. I only did 1 coat. It's not that big of a deal. As long as this side is painted, it should be fine. And all we have to do now is install it. Unfortunately, I ran out of time after I finished painting it. It got dark, and I made the unfortunate mistake of assembling the roof rack over here upside down. I'll show you guys. I fucking knew it. I missed one. Oh, I gotta flip it all the way around. It looks like the gap between this side and this side is smaller than the gap between this side and that side. But this side, this smaller gap goes in the rear. I put it in the front. See, the forward is this way. So all I have to do is technically just slide these out and flip them around, because everything else seems to be not labeled. Oh, come on. Oh, nope. That'll do it. Now it should be better. See, this is the arrow that tells me this is forward, meaning the windshield will be down there. So the long side will be closer to the windshield, and the short side will be closer to the trunk. That lines up there. Damn it! I flipped it around, my bad. Idiot. Okay, now it should be good. There, there, and obviously there. I have fixed the roof rack now, and it should be mounting the right way. And all we have to do now is go ahead and clean up the mess that's underneath the existing trim pieces, because you guys saw it's very dirty there. I actually removed the driver's side as well, and that's also dirty. So we're gonna go ahead and clean up both of them and then go ahead and install everything back into place. Okay, so in order to install this, we need these bolt-looking nuts, because that's what goes on here. And then I think the screws go on to the actual roof rack. So in order to install everything correctly, we need to find our right side hardware, which is here labeled R. There, the R right there somewhere, right there. Was that so hard? And then you do the same for the other brackets. I think they are self-explanatory on how they go. They are different sizes. So you have the middle one, which is the smallest, the one in the front, which is the second biggest, and then the one in the rear, which is the largest. You guys can see there's really no way of mixing up, because none of the holes line up really, other than where the roof rack goes, because those mounting brackets are the same on the ends of the roof racks. So the only thing that's going to change is where the nuts go here. So okay, so now that we have installed our bracket hardware, I'm going to go ahead and install the trim pieces. These pieces are side specific as well. You see the left side has a higher trim than the right side. The big one, right, is supposed to be towards the center of the hood. So that means it should clip into place just like that. Now that everything has been installed, now I can get rid of these extra trim pieces that I no longer need, and we can move on to installing the actual roof rack. So that means these little brackets need to go in there. Now these are also very specific in the way they go. Or is this the other way? Left side is the driver's side. Don't be an idiot, Jay, come on. Okay. This is why you pay attention between the left and the right. So now, should make a perfect seal here. You guys can see gap is closed and we have no issues with fitment. So as long as we follow the arrows, big one in the rear, small one in the center, of course, no gaps, and then the middle size one goes in the rear. Just have to slide it forward. Why is there a gap here and not back here? And yet the arrow is pointing forward. Oh, man. So we can install this roof rack and hopefully, nothing breaks. And of course my camera is positioned right where I don't need it to be. Okay, there's a fitment issue here, fitment clearance. Something's not right, let me see. It's with these braces. It seems I tightened them too short because they are able to extend just a little bit. And you guys can see here the holes are not lining up. Loosened it now. And it should be able to move a little bit more freely now. There. Okay, so the issue here is the slack, right? I tightened it when there was no slack, and it's supposed to have a little bit of a curve, which means it needs to be able to kind of like curve out, because this piece already is curved, and I kind of just tightened it without taking that into account. So, all right. It was so much easier to tighten that stupid freaking bolt once I took everything out. And all that's left to do now is tighten these little bolts here to keep it from wobbling. And I've already fastened down the screws all the way across. So this thing ain't going nowhere. Okay, so my neighbors decided to play music, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up because the CRV has been finally modified with a cargo cover, new floor mats, and the roof rack. So hopefully that'll keep me satiated until the next CRV build, install, I mean, and we can go ahead and focus on the Civic now because we are gonna finally install the interior as soon as I get the AC removed and then reinstalled again. But you guys know, it's gonna be a little bit of a process. So hopefully, it doesn't take too long, but bear with me because on the next video, it's gonna be Civic stuff. So until next time guys, take care and Goodspeed.